birthday.
It is not my birthday.
It is not, but it is our podcast's birthday.
My podcast isn't a person.
It's not, but I didn't say it was. It was birthed 2 years ago.
Birthdays.
Oh, what's up, buddy? Episode 90.
It's the one. Yeah. Wow, what a big number.
Yeah. So, new job for you. How's that going?
It's going great. It's been interesting to say the least. So, Friday before last, was my first day. As first day goes, can't complain. Saturday, I'm off of work and immediately not feeling well.
Oh no.
I got very sick immediately after starting this new job.
Didn't this happen when you started your last job?
It happened the last time I started the new job, yes.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, I only get sick right before starting a new job. Like, I never get sick otherwise. I haven't been sick since the last time since I started my last job.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was immediately interesting because, like, I'm a new hire, and this is like a good job. I don't want to be calling out in the first week. That's not really ideal. But then at the same time, like, this place takes illness pretty seriously. Every single door, and I'm talking every single door in the building has a sign on it being like, if you're sick, stay home. So it's like a double-edged sword. Do I want to be the guy who calls out during his first week, or do I want to be the guy who didn't call out when they take that pretty seriously?
Oh, damn, man. That is a rock and a hard place if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, so after being like, I don't really know what to do, someone suggested like pretty smart to me, which was just to be honest. So I went to work with a mask on, and I told my manager what was up, and I was like, I didn't want to call off, but I also don't want to like pretend I'm not sick when I am. I feel bad. This is what it is. It sucks. And they got me set up to work from home. So I've already worked from home in my first week.
Nice. That's awesome.
Which was cool as shit. Cause it's pretty nice to just work in your sweatpants with a cat on your lap.
Right. Cool.
But yeah, it's been super interesting because, like, man, first of all, I'm loving the job. It's great. I can't complain. It's just been like good all around. It's weird working on salary instead of hourly.
Yeah. Yep. That it is different, isn't it?
It's very weird because I'm used to working on hourly where it's like, okay, you have 30 minutes of lunchtime. If you're a minute less than that or a minute over that, you're fucked, buddy. And if you're on the clock, you're fucking working, god damn it. And then everything here is so relaxed. Like, I take a nice long hour-long lunch, and sometimes I'm just like, okay, I've been standing in the same place for a long time. I want to walk around for a bit, and they're just totally fine with that. Like today, I there's a big hill across the street from where I work, and I just like went and walked up it because I was like, I've been standing in the same place for a while. I'm really tired out from like my legs are feeling sore from this. I'm gonna go outside. And yeah, it's just weird. They're like, yeah, just, your time's your own. Just get your work done. And I'm like, all right, cool. Which is, that's a great combination for me because I am a very efficient worker. So I can get my work done very quickly.
Yeah.
And, it's so interesting, man. The office is like super cozy and comfortable. I'm in an office with, So my purchasing team is 4 people. It's my manager and 3 other purchasers, but 2 of the purchasers are just like 100% remote, and my manager is only in the office 2 days a week. So like for the most part, I just have this big office to myself, and they bought me a new desk just for me when I for my first day and for me to work at, and it's a really nice like I forget what they're called, adjustable desk, adjustable height desk. Like it can go to standing, it can go to sitting.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, so I'll switch between the two throughout the day, so I don't get like too sore from sitting or too sore from standing. Yeah, it's super interesting. It's a whole other beast compared to what I'm used to, because like I've been buying for Whole Foods for the past 3 years, and that, you know, buying for Whole Foods is like a very day-to-day thing, right? It's like on Tuesday I need a box of hamburger buns, I'll order them in for Wednesday, and then you know, come Thursday, oh, I need another box, I order another box that comes in on Friday. What I'm doing now is a lot more like long-term thinking, like, okay, I'm buying enough dried cranberries to last the next 3 months. I'm buying enough persimmons to last an entire year, whatever it might be.
Okay.
It's interesting. It requires a whole different approach, and it's a lot less urgency than I'm used to. The whole thing is very relaxed compared to the retail work I've been doing for the past 6 years.
Now, I mean, obviously you don't know firsthand, but have you either heard, or do you foresee a situation where, because you're ordering so far in advance, like if you screw up, like it could have a bigger effect to where you're like, oh crap, I didn't order enough, and now you try to order more and you're not going to have enough in time, and you're going to be out for a month or something. Is that?
Yes, that is definitely a possibility, because I have a lot of vendors that it's like 4 weeks to even 6 weeks for them to like from order to delivery. It's like a long turnaround time. So I have to keep a really close eye on inventory numbers. It's you know, at Whole Foods, it was a lot of like actually walking around and seeing what we have. Here I'm working more directly. I'm just looking at the inventory on the inventory system, and their inventory system is amazing, dude. Like compared to this fucking multi-billion-dollar Amazon-owned company, their inventory system is so like fast and easy to use. It's great.
Oh, well,
like, step up your shit, Whole Foods.
Anything was better than the world market inventory system.
You know, we're still running off DOS, right?
Oh my God, fucking Tim. Jesus. Oh,
yeah. So, man, yeah, there's a lot to love. I'm really vibing with it, really feeling it, really liking it. Really excited to see how it's going to transform and evolve, but just in general, I really like it. And, I like the people I work with. And once I'm, you know, more comfortable, I'm working from home pretty regularly. Like I'm only required to be in the office 2 days a week. Otherwise, like I can just work from home.
Okay. You think you're gonna stick to that?
Probably. Like, I don't, we're gonna have to see how I function working from home, because I've always thought that would be a setup that would work for me, but I've never actually had to do it. Maybe I'll come to find that I like get too distracted, or I can't focus enough at home. You know, there's always that possibility. So
yeah,
but I will say for the 2 days I was working from home last week while I was like recovering from illness, it worked very well for me. So
yeah, I think myself, maybe in like the short term, if it was like a 1 week thing, I might be able to like working from home, but really any more than that, I just don't think I would be very productive. I think I distract myself too easily.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say what'll happen. I mean, like I said, the couple of days I've done it, it has worked for me, but we don't know beyond that.
Nice. Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad you like it so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Nice. No, it's kind of interesting the things you're talking about with the purchasing. I kind of see both sides of it in my current job. Um, you know, because I'm there selling to accounts, so I'm seeing that, like, once a week, twice a week, sell through and restock. But then I'm seeing like my own warehouse inventory and how that works, and how it's like, okay, well, this was ordered 2 months ago and it hasn't arrived yet because it's, stuck on a loading dock somewhere or something. So, yeah, I definitely know both sides of your little experience that you've had and are going into now. So it's interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. And the other thing I'm dealing with that I have not had to deal with in the past is dealing with actually arranging to have stuff picked up. Because I'm used to, like, again, Whole Foods, where like their distribution system, distribution is just figured out. It's like I place an order with one of my major vendors, it's just going to show up almost by magic. I don't have to fucking deal with it at all. It's just, it'll show up.
Right.
But now it's like I'm having to find out, like we have our own distribution system. We have our own trucks. We also have vendors that deliver directly to us. So we have vendors that we pick up from and vendors that we deliver from, or that we get delivered to. And then there are like vendors that don't deliver and that are outside of like our ability to pick up from. And so we have to deal with setting up third party freight with a broker. And so that's an aspect of the job that I've never seen before, is having to understand and arrange how things are actually going to get to us.
Yeah. Well, you're growing your knowledge bit, your experience.
Yeah. It's there's a lot to learn, and I was a little worried. I mean, I was a little worried before I started the job, just in terms of like, okay, if I don't pick this up fast enough, like, are they just gonna fire me? Like, this is at will employment. I've never dealt with that before. What if they just don't like me? But I was talking to one of the other purchasers. I was having a one-on-one with him, just kind of as an introductory thing. And he was like, yeah, I give it 3 months, maybe 6 months to do all your training before you're like really able to do it on your own. I'm like, oh, wow. All right, cool. No one's expecting me to just be on this right away. Good.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, maybe maybe it's not quite 6 months, but I feel like around 6 months is usually the point of a new job where I'm like, okay, I feel very confident in what I'm doing in this position.
Yeah, it's about how long it took for Whole Foods. I would say about 3 months before I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you might get it early, but like I feel like I know by 6 months I'll have reached that point where, like, if somebody has a question about something, I can likely answer it or know how to get the answer. I'm not like, I don't know, I'm new at this. I can at least like problem solve anything that I don't actually know. So, yeah, there is a little bit of that, but it's good that they understand that.
Yeah, they definitely seem. I mean, it's like, and I'll say too, when I applied for this job, like the requirements for what they were looking for an applicant was like they wanted someone who had like a bachelor's degree in this stuff, and obviously I don't have that. I think they were more looking for someone who they thought could do the work, not someone who already knows how to do the work. So I feel like they're invested in teaching me.
I gotcha.
Which is good.
Nice. Right on,
but yeah,
man.
I've already placed some orders, and it's so interesting again, because I am dealing with not only more long-term purchasing, but also much larger volume purchasing, just given our clientele or the things that we do with stuff. Like, Where before working for Whole Foods, like a $3,000 order was like a huge order. Now I'm placing like $6,000 orders for a single item, you know?
Right. Yeah, I definitely know how that goes. Some of the orders that I'd place like when I first started my job versus some of the orders that I placed before Christmas were like and like night and day different. Like I can't even like I don't know 20 times the size. I don't know, just massive. Um so yeah, I get it. Yeah, dealing with that larger volume is kind of crazy the when you first experience it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a lot. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to be that I'm not used to. And a lot to like see and all. And it's just yeah, I'm fascinated, but yeah, but I really like it so far, which is the really important part.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some coworkers that you miss at your old job, but yeah, I mean, other than that, you're probably pretty dang happy to be out of there.
Yes, for sure.
Nice. Well, cool, man. Anything else been going on in your life? You got what, weekends off now, so you can actually like do
I already had
stuff.
weekends off.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, sorry,
I had a very abnormal retail schedule.
Yeah, you did, but you also had that like goofiness, so like you were having to go to bed super early and I mean, I guess
yeah, I am working normal human hours now.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be nice once you get yourself all settled.
Yeah, it's already like it's nice being able to be awake at night because I like being up at night. But I wouldn't say like it made a huge difference in my life. I was never particularly against working the early hours. It never bothered me. Never bothered me much.
I gotcha. I mean, I guess you'll see as time goes by. Like you said, you kind of like being awake, like at night. So, when summer rolls around, we've talked before about how like summer nights are different than any other time. It just has a different feel to it. So like, yeah,
I'm excited
maybe
to like
you can actually
be able to
experience
stay up a bit later.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually can experience life like a human.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of wild. Anything channel related going on?
Just plugging away, working on that Vinland Saga video. I'm making great progress, and I really like how it looks. I just did a couple days ago a Patreon exclusive stream where I went behind the scenes and showed off some of the stuff I've done, and everybody was pretty into it, I think. So
Nice. Mac, I got a question that I gotta ask you. It's not something I thought I was going to have to ask you, but where do little twink boys go to buy pants? Because I tried to go pant shopping over the weekend and it was not a fun experience.
no.
I granted I have not been clothes shopping in probably like 3 or 4 years, so it's been a minute. But it was like an all weekend adventure for the most part. Like, I don't know, I went everywhere looking for pants and did not have a ton of luck.
Why are you having such a problem finding pants, bruv?
I don't understand how like pants fit now because fits are all different, and I don't understand how they're supposed to fit me. And
you sound like such a boomer right now.
Well, yeah, you know what? A little bit. Yeah, I am a little bit. All right, a tiny bit. I'm also a short little shit, so finding pants that aren't super long is not easy. Yeah. So I spent all weekend, and I did end up get a couple pair of pants, but it was too much of a headache to try to tackle like jean shopping. That was too much. I tried on like 2 pair and I was like, nope. I'm not doing this now. Nope. Not a thing. Yeah. Yeah. So I did not enjoy that experience. I think part of it, I was looking for work pants and I was looking for something very specific, although everything I had previously mentioned about the fit of pants and me being like a boomer, that all still holds true. But to add an extra layer to that was to like find pants to wear to work, Like, yeah, I can go out and find a pair of dress pants if I want to or whatever. But I need to find something that like looks nice and passes as a dress pant, but I also like don't care if I like fuck them up. And like I want something that I can like walk and breathe it and are like breathable, So
Sure. That's understandable.
yeah, it's more of an adventure finding the actual like style of pant. I have stumbled across some good ones in the past that are like they're like a khaki material, but they're cut with pockets like jeans, and those are kind of like that's kind of like best case scenario. So if I can find those, that's always the way to go. But I did try on some pants and got a little fit confused on some of them. So yeah, I don't know, man. It was hard. Jeans will be another day. I don't know. Maybe
it's
like
always kind of hard for me. It's always kind of hard for me to like find. Like I know what I want, but it's always hard for me to like find something I really like. I buy the exact same pair of pants just kind of every now and then. I always buy H&M black skinny jeans, 34 32s.
Okay.
And that's
God damn,
that's my pair.
You're a 34?
I'm actually a 32, but you can't ever find those.
Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, that because I mean, just going through my own pant shopping experience and knowing you as long as I've known you, it's hard to imagine you actually being a 34. That seems completely absurd.
No, I have to get the slightly wider waist because it's like impossible to find pants that are my size.
Yeah. I just, I have the problem with them being too long. That's my issue.
Yeah, short little fucker.
Yeah. Although this might be something for you to check out. You might want to look into the brand Ben Sherman. Because I actually found a couple pair of pants that I really liked when I was out shopping, and they only had 32. Which was fine. They were just super fucking long. So they make them long boys and them tiny sizes. So you might have some success.
Yeah, that might work for me.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked to see a 32 inseam that small, but apparently they exist. And they actually kind of look like something that you would wear, if that makes any kind of sense.
Good. I would hope they would look like something I would wear if you're suggesting that I wear them.
Yeah. I could definitely. You might not walk by them on a rack and be like, "Oh my god, I need to own these." But I can see you pulling them off with your style.
I see.
Yeah, check them out. They're I've liked some of their stuff, so we'll see. I did. Have you seen the movie Anchorman?
I have never seen that one. No.
Oh, damn. Okay, well, the joke gets lost on you. At one point, they they go out pant shopping. Well, no, he mentions needing to go to the pant store to take back defective pants, and then at another point they decide to go out and go suit shopping. And while I was out pant shopping, I didn't have a ton of luck, like I said, with work pants, but I did find I did impulse buy a suit that fit freaking awesome that I didn't need, but I felt a lot like Ron Burgundy in that moment. It was like pretty much straight out of the movie, so it was kind of funny, but you haven't seen the movie, so that's completely lost on you.
Yep. I need to pick up I should get a suit. I don't have, I mean, I do have one, but it fits terribly. I need like an actual, like, I need to find out my size and get like a suit that is my size.
Yeah, that was kind of like my thing. I actually have a decent amount of suits. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, or I'm sure I've told you at some point. Back in a previous retail life, I worked at Express for like 8 years. So my like wardrobe of like suits and business casual grew pretty big. So I have like a closet full of suits, but again, pant fits change and things. So the pants don't fit quite as nice and tailored as I remember them. So I figured there was a nice like suit with some skinny pants that had a jacket that actually was my correct size as well. So boom, done. Bought a suit. So next time I need a suit, I got one.
Very nice.
Yeah, I felt very adult at the same time. Like, just bought a suit and a new pair of dress shoes just for no reason. It seems
yeah, nice.
It seems like a thing that adults do. Like, you know, like I spent $80 on a new garbage can today. Like, what? Why? Well, it's I don't know, it's some, you know, stainless steel limited edition antimicrobial garbage can, and you get all jacked about it because you're an adult and that's the kind of things that you get excited for.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's so funny the things you get excited about as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. It would make young Mike cringe to think about the things that I get excited about.
Of course.
As
but
an
like,
adult,
kids don't understand.
But on the flip side, it makes me cringe now to think about the things that I got excited about as a kid. So it's all even. You know, like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't. We've talked about it before, about just, you know, the shit we blew out of proportion in high school that we made such a big deal about it. I'm not necessarily talking about that now, but like in that same vein, like things that you got super excited about then, you look back now and you're like, it's really not that big of a deal. Don't get excited.
You're just it's just, I feel like it's just that your values change, right? Like I was talking about this right before I left Whole Foods. Like when I was, you know, like graduating high school, the idea of an office job was like horrifying to me. It was like, I don't want to be sat at an office desk all day. But now, 6 years of a retail experience later, I'm like, yes, sit my ass at a desk. I don't want to move ever.
Right? Yeah.
Like it's just my values are different now. Ideally, I work a job where I'm able to get up and move every now and then, but I don't really want a job where I'm up and about all the fucking time. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll say I've kind of like done a little switcheroo on my outlook on that. My first couple jobs, like, high school, whatever. That was retail, so it was like standing, walking around, whatever. I didn't really like have anything else to compare it to. But going into business, I was like, I want a desk job. Like, that's all I want. That's going to be great. And then I had a desk job for about a year and a half, and it was fucking fantastic, and I loved it. And after that was done, I was back to working retail for like another decade, and it was like, God, I just want to go back to a desk. But honestly, like, I'm kind of happy with like the mix that I've got now. I don't know if I can.
I think a mix is ideal.
Because like, I don't know, as much as I wanted that during my retail time, I don't know if I'd want to sit all day anymore. Like, now I do like a decent amount of driving, and then I do a lot of walking, and then I'll drive for another half hour or whatever. So I get a lot of movement, but I also get a lot of time to sit. So I'm pretty happy with the activity mix that I've got going on right now.
I think a mix is ideal, and I can't say for sure yet, but I think I'm going to want more movement in my own job, and maybe that's something I'll have the option to kind of create. But yeah, I think ideally you're not doing too much of either.
Yeah.
Cause like too much walk around, you get exhausted. Too much. I mean, like, and too much sitting gets exhausting. Let me tell you, on my fucking 24-hour live streams, the next day I am unable to sit in a chair because my ass hurts from how much time I spent sitting the previous day. You know, there's too much of either isn't a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm completely with you. Yeah, I've had, especially, like I talked about, just being super busy with work over Christmas and stuff. And, I worked a few like weekend days in December. Like a couple of those Saturdays, like I'd get home after Friday night and just be like beat following the week. And I'd try to get some sleep and get up Saturday and go work for a couple hours. And I'd come home and like I would be tired, like physically, but not like, I don't know, mentally. I don't know. Like I didn't want to sleep. I just didn't want to move. So I plopped down in front of the TV for like just an undetermined amount of time, and you get up and like your back freaking hurts.
Yeah.
You don't realize how like not moving like really does mess you up.
It does. Yeah, it's no good. You don't want to do that.
No. I must move around like a lot at night, or maybe it's just something with laying down versus like sitting up. But you don't necessarily feel like garbage in the morning. Sometimes you do if you sleep weird, but not like if you just sit there for hours.
We talked a bit about the new job, and seems appropriate we talk a bit about the old job too, because y'all know I got some shit to talk.
Yeah, man, let's hear it. You have a whole new old job to dish about.
Yeah, well, working for Whole Foods was was interesting to say the least. I'm sure everybody knows, but in case you don't, Whole Foods is an Amazon-owned company. But when I started working there at the beginning of 2020, it was still like somewhat recent. When did they get bought? Hang on, I want to look it up.
I was gonna say I thought it was around that time, maybe like 2019 or something. I feel like
it was 2017, so it'd been going on for a couple years already.
Oh wow, okay. I guess I didn't realize it had been that long. Okay.
So when I came into it, people were kind of like, you'd be surprised how little of an impact Amazon has had. They've kind of just brought down prices. They haven't really changed how we do things at all. And I was like, okay, that's a great thing to hear.
Right.
And now 3 years later, after having exited Whole Foods, I'm like, that ain't true no more.
Oh no. What did they do?
They just, man, I'm sure you may have heard him talk about this before. I'm gonna like go over it for people who maybe aren't aware.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos has like the douchiest employment model ever. Like not only in terms of like he doesn't pay his people, but the way he kind of views employees, the way he describes it, if I remember correctly, the term he uses is no, that's the term we use. I would describe the way that he approaches employment as revolving door employment. He doesn't want, and he said this, like this isn't like speculation, this is what he says openly. He doesn't want people working for Amazon for a long time. And that's how he justifies paying people complete shit wages, is because he views Amazon as like a stopping place. Like you work there for a while, like while you finish a degree or find a better job or whatever. They don't want people working for Amazon for a long time. And so they don't create incentives for people to work for Amazon for a long time.
Okay.
And over the years that I worked at Whole Foods, over the ultimately short number of years that I worked for Whole Foods, I definitely saw that mindset coming into play pretty fucking heavily.
Ugh.
They do not want people working for that company for a long time. They don't do a lot to incentivize like being around for a long time, and they do a lot to make you not want to be there for a long time. At the store I worked at most recently, I saw multiple people who had worked for the company for more than 10 years leave.
Oof. Oh, that's not good.
No. And like, we're talking like people who had like, were like one of the people was a cheese buyer who like really knew a lot about cheese. Like he had like cheese certification. He like went to conferences. He knew his shit, and Whole Foods just pushed his ass out. They were, he had no real incentive to stick around any longer.
Hey, Lily.
It's like, okay.
All right. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
She was fucking with the tree again.
Like having an extremely knowledgeable guy about cheese and a department that sells cheese for customers sounds like something you would want, not something that you would, de-incentivize.
Right. You should, like, every store should kill to have that.
Yeah. And like they had a lot of people like that. They had one of the people who is still working there, who did not leave yet, has been there for like 25 years. They've got people who enjoy working there that want to be there for a long time, yet they have like changed policies to ensure that there's no real incentive to, like, I don't remember the exact terms of this, but there was some system where, like, hang on. Sorry, you may have heard me just smash something. There was a bug flying around. I just killed the shit out of it.
Nice.
There was I don't remember the terms exactly, but it was like if you worked for the company for like a certain number of service hours, your health insurance just became free and you were allowed to keep it forever, right?
Okay.
And that is a thing that no longer exists. Was around when I started working there, but a friend of mine reached the required number of service hours right after they got rid of that policy.
Oh, that sucks.
That sucks. That's a big suck.
Oh.
And while this isn't something they have done, I one of my friends who worked at Whole Foods, who now works at the same company that I do, they knew someone who worked at like the regional level, and there's apparently something that they are trying slowly to implement is something they do at Amazon warehouses, which is, you carry like a little keychain with you that tracks your movement and makes sure you're never like stop working for too long, and that you're always working efficiently and shit like that.
Oh, geez. I mean, I don't know about Amazon specifically, but I know a lot of companies put like GPS trackers on vehicles, but I didn't know that
they're doing it to people.
Oh God.
Amazon already does that. Whole Foods does not do it yet, but it's pretty well understood that it is coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's really shitty.
Really shitty.
The part about them not wanting to necessarily have people work there a long time. Yes, that is shitty, but they are certainly not alone in that. I mean, look at like
I just don't think it's a good way to run a business, personally. I don't think there's necessarily like an objectively like it is a wrong thing to do. I just don't think it's a good way to run a business. I think you should, invest in as much in your customers as you do in your. You should invest as much in your employees as you do in your customers and vendors. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. But as you were talking about it, it just kind of made me think of like, something like McDonald's. Like, yeah, there's people that like stick it out and make a career out of it, but I mean, that's like a first job for most people.
Right.
And that's kind of like the model that's set up for that. And I mean, not saying that's right or wrong, but it's not completely off from what Amazon is thinking.
Right. Well, yes, but it's just from in my eyes, that to me is just an excuse to not to cover up the fact that you treat your people like shit. Like Bezos doesn't have to justify the fact that his company does not pay people living wages if he doesn't expect people to live off of those wages,
Right. Yeah, well, I just heard something. I don't think you mentioned it. I think my buddy Brian might have said something. But like they're predicting that Amazon's going to run out of employees by like I don't know, like 2040 or something like that.
Well, they've got such a bad reputation now, even worse than like working a job like McDonald's, that I can't imagine there's a wealth of people that are applying at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody just did like the math on what the turnover rate is and like the US population and how long it would take them to like cycle through everybody in the country.
Yeah, no, I would 100% believe that people that they will. I'm sure they're already having staffing problems. Everybody is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Whole Foods is definitely like they're tailoring their company towards that kind of business model, slowly but surely.
That sucks.
And there's so many like little changes that point towards that too, right? Like when I got hired, the process for training new employees was that like before your first day, you sat down with HR for literally 5 hours to do training stuff and like go over like the history of the company and learn about like what it's like to work there. Now it's just like every other company. They sit you in front of a computer and you watch videos.
Yep. Sounds about right.
You used to actually sit down with somebody and like you could chalk that up to like that was a change they made because of pandemic. And to an extent, I'm sure that's true, but I also can't see them having a strong desire to go back to what was being done before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it it goes along with anything. Like once you realize that you can automate something, what's the incentive to pay a person to do it when you don't have to?
You know, that's an excellent point that you brought up because that segues beautifully into what I was about to talk about next.
Okay, what do you got?
I am fairly certain that Whole Foods is trying to eliminate their bakery and prepared foods departments as well as the purchasing position that I was working in.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll start with my side of things. We'll start with the buying side of things. People sometimes thought it was strange when I would tell them that I was a buyer for Whole Foods because they were surprised that it wasn't an automated process. They were surprised that there wasn't like an automatic inventory system that automatically sent them new stuff that they needed, which is what we had at Whole Foods. That's what we had at World Market and what a lot of stores do.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it is a little surprising that it's not automated, but also knowing that you're dealing with consumables, I can understand how maybe having.
So that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, like a person in charge kind of makes more sense.
The reason it makes sense specifically for my departments because I was working in bakery and prepared foods, and for those departments, you need to be purchasing like produce and frosting and like things that have, things that have short shelf lives because Whole Foods doesn't allow a bunch of preservatives in their food, but also that can't really be inventoried. Like they don't have a barcode that's being scanned through the register to indicate that it's getting used. It's just they use it when they need it and they make cakes out of it, right? So you can't automate that process because it's not being automated. There's no way to track when that stuff is getting used. Right. So that was a big reason why my department in particular still had buyers. But like beyond that, there's the factor of Whole Foods likes to work with a lot of local vendors. And sometimes those local vendors, their processes, like the way that you order from them can't be automated the way that like the larger vendors do because they might not work through our inventory system as well as bigger vendors do.
Okay, it makes sense.
But with that being said, shortly before I left, they implemented a new program called SOT, which stands for Store Ordering Tool.
Okay.
And what the SOT would do is it would take products that are barcoded and would make the ordering process automatic. It would track the inventory and the movement and recommend an amount to order.
Okay.
So for my department, that wasn't a ton of stuff. Like it was basically just bakery stuff. And it was like the stuff that didn't need any production done on it. It was just, we would take it out of the freezer and put it out on the floor. And they said, their reasoning for it was like, we want to make your ordering process faster. But anybody with half a brain would know that doesn't work because only some of my items were going through this store ordering tool. So now, instead of just placing one order for one vendor, I'm now placing 2 orders for every vendor that this tool works for. And I'm having to place those orders through 2 different programs. There is no possible way that would save time.
Right.
None whatsoever. But the idea is that they're essentially training this program to know how you order and know what the store's needs are so that it can automatically order for you. And again, in my department, there's still plenty of products like, produce or flour and stuff like that can't go through that program. But for like the grocery buyer, he was just 100% using that program. There's no reason for them to not to just be like, okay, no more grocery buyers. We're going to have the tool do it now.
Yeah.
And I am 100% sold that is what they intend to do, is eventually just get rid of order writing for a bunch of departments or turn it into a part-time job. My job was a full-time job before, but if they managed to get like half of my items on this SOT, then that would, and get it to a point that I wouldn't need to interfere with it to get it to order correctly, then they would not need me as often as, they would not need me for as many hours as I would do that job,
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of that ordering system for wine that we had at World Market. That was supposed to like basically like almost automate the process, but if you followed it, it would just screw things up and you'd blow all your budget and you'd be out of everything you actually needed, because they would have it set up to where like if the company was running something in like an email that went out to like all of our reward members, they would want us to order like an extra 2 cases whatever week that was going to be in email. And it's like, yeah, those emails don't generate that much business. Like,
no, especially since they got sent every day. Most people didn't look at them.
And then like at some point they stopped like advertising like when the wine was on like a special price. Like they would just put it in the ad and do like a generic email for the whole country that didn't have prices on it, so they didn't have to do like a state specific one. And so,
and by the way, that was super fucking annoying because, and just this is just a total tangent, not super related, but that shit pissed me off whenever they would run a coupon and you'd have to like look into the fine print to show that that coupon didn't work in Michigan since we had laws against it. And so many customers would get pissed at us for that. And it's like, I wish they didn't send this to you either. It's really fucking annoying for me.
Yeah, God, that really pisses me off now that you bring that up. I remember those coupons specifically because it would be like
the ad would like have wine on it. Like it would even like say like includes alcohol, and then you'd look down and be like, doesn't include alcohol in these states.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was like 10% off your purchase, including alcohol. And then you look at the bottom and it says excludes alcohol in the following states. And it was a list of like 20 fucking states.
Yeah, it was a ton of them. It was so fucking irritating.
Like all it needed to say was like includes alcohol in applicable states or something like that. Or like whatever.
Exclusions apply, something like that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of ways to approach that, but they just wanted people in the store. They didn't care about like them being pissed off.
Oh yeah. That was super sketchy.
Yeah, but yeah, and that's and what you're talking about like applies to this tool that I was using too. Like for the most part, it was pretty accurate. It did a good job of like knowing what needed to be ordered, but like during the holidays or during sales, it'll just get things so wrong. Like I remember during the holidays, it wanted me to bring in 2 boxes of these ginger cookies that we like do not sell very much of. And I was like, not only am I not going to bring 2 boxes in, I'm not going to bring any boxes in because I'm a human being with intuition and I know that these aren't going to sell. And sure enough, I was right. They were still there when the order would have come in.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can't teach those tools, but at the same time, they don't really care about that. They just want to cut back on the labor cost of having someone dedicated to doing that every day.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also like with something like ingredients, there's the human aspect of like, oh shit, I like fucked up this batch of bread or whatever and like put too much of an ingredient in or dropped an entire bag of flour. And like, yeah, you can write that stuff off, but you need someone in there to know that you no longer have those ingredients to use.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they were trying to eliminate my position specifically. I definitely like felt like I was seeing the writing on the wall on that one. And I already I hated using this store ordering tool and I hated the idea that my job would change any further because they were trying to eliminate it. So I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here,
Yeah.
But then like my departments, bakery and prepared foods, which for the record, like speaking as someone who was, speaking to customers, not often, but from time to time, Whole Foods customers love the fact that there's like an actual bakery and like a buffet in the store. A lot of them talk about how like that used to be the thing in grocery stores back in the day, but really aren't now, and how they love that Whole Foods does that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But Whole Foods is 100% trying to get rid of that, and it's in really subtle ways that aren't really that subtle at all. The main thing I can point to, bakery is the easiest example to point to. When you go to a bakery, and I'm just going to ask you this, Mike, this is going to sound like an obvious question, but you'd be surprised. When you go to a bakery, do you expect that the things in the bakery have been baked?
Yes, I would assume that.
You would be wrong to assume that at Whole Foods.
Okay.
Over the course of the 3 years that I worked for Whole Foods, more and more product was not being baked and was instead being pulled out of the freezer.
Oh.
When I started working at Whole Foods, we didn't make our own bagel dough. We would buy in frozen dough, but we would at least bake the dough so you could get like a nice, warm, fresh baked bagel in the morning. Now they sell pre-baked frozen 6-packs that you could buy off of any grocery store shelf.
Oh, that's kind of shitty.
It's really shitty, and it like extra sucks because you're essentially tricking the customers. The grocery department sells those exact same. They sell pre-baked frozen 6-packs of bagels. They sell those, and then you go over to the bakery, and it's like, okay, this is a bakery. These bagels have been baked. No, they're the exact same as the bagels you're buying off the grocery shelves. They just have our own label on them, so you think they're being baked. It's a lie, and it's really shitty.
Yeah, like there's on the opposite side of it, there's a couple like local grocery stores in this area that they carry like Zingerman's bread and rolls and stuff. And they put it in, like a fresh bakery case where you like open a door and you like pick out your own loaf and put it in a bag. But there's a sign that's like Zingerman sourdough. Like they're not claiming that it's their own.
Right.
Oh, God. That's really not frustrating.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the bread. At my first store in Ann Arbor, we actually did bake breads. Like I would buy in flour, large amounts of flour. They would make everything from scratch and bake them there. But we also had about like half of our case that was not made in house. It was like we would buy pre-baked loaves of bread and just stick them in the oven long enough to reheat them essentially. And you'd think like at least we did bake some breads, but over time, like more and more breads were being replaced with this pre-baked stuff instead of like us like increasing the amount of stuff that we actually bake. And then I go to my store here in Oregon, and they don't have that at all. All the bread they sell is pre-baked, reheated.
Wow. Thanks, Amazon.
Yeah, it's so, you look at that and you have to ask like, okay, so Whole Foods doesn't want to bake things in their bakery. They just don't want to have a bakery anymore. And they're just like going with this very slow phasing out process where eventually everything's going to be the same as grocery product, or it's going to be pre-baked and all you're doing is putting it out. So they can pretend they still have a bakery, but they don't really. It's not a bakery if you're not baking things in it anymore.
Right. But they probably figure they can make more money buying things and pretending like they
And that's exactly what it is.
Exactly
what it is. You can get much higher margins on a pre-baked bagel because you don't have to pay the labor to have someone put it in an oven.
Yeah. And I would also imagine that putting them in a display case and letting people grab them versus, packaging them and having them on a shelf, people are probably willing to spend more money thinking that they're baked in store.
They are 100%.
Even if it's the exact
100%.
same product. Oh, God.
Yeah, people tell me stories about like Whole Foods bakeries before I worked there and how they used to like make cheesecakes and muffin batters and all this stuff, and now now we buy in pre-made cake rounds and just put frosting on them. Like they don't fucking do anything that's actually baking anything. It's so shit.
Well, I even remember Andre saying when he first started, he had to learn how to make bread.
Yeah,
and that was
I'm sure that and you know, for the record, I'm sure they do still make bread from scratch, but it's gonna be the same as my last store. The amount that they're actually baking versus just reheating is gonna be a much different ratio than when Andre would have first started.
Yeah, because he started maybe like a year before you, I think.
It was not that much. It was like a few months.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember it was sometime in 2019 for sure. But yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, it was around that same time you started, so it was still when they were in the school of baking. But yeah.
And yeah, and it's the same deal with the prep food side of things. Like if you're going to the hot bar at Whole Foods and you're like seeing all the stuff that's like made there, don't think any of it is like made from scratch. A lot of it like comes in pre-made. And again, our cooks are glorified reheaters. That's what they do. They take a bag of Madras curry and they stick it in the steamer for a couple hours. That's what they do.
Sounds about right. I will say I don't whether it's made in-house or whether it's made somewhere else, I do enjoy the lobster bisque from the hot bar. I'm very happy that the Whole Foods hot bar exists again, because on the off chances that I do have to go in there, sometimes I will grab a cup of lobster bisque for lunch, and that's kind of a nice little treat.
That's nice. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really not really a soup fan, but that's one of the only ones I like. So I really like that that's back.
That's good. Yeah, I can't say I loved working for Whole Foods. I did like the people I worked with. And I enjoyed my job to an extent, but it's not a good company to work for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've known a few people now. I guess I've known quite a few people now who have worked for Whole Foods. Andre didn't have anything necessarily negative to say. But he also left Whole Foods after he moved away. So we're not in the same kind of communication that we used to be. And then I think everybody else I know still works there. So they're probably not going to talk too much shit about it. But yeah, I don't doubt anything that you've just said. It sounds like good old corporate America.
It was so disappointing, some of the things that I would see there. You know, we would go from like actually making danishes to getting these frozen pucks in. We'd go from actually making muffin batters to more frozen pucks. It's just so shitty to like pretend to your customers that like you're making, come in for fresh baked bread. It's it's fresh reheated bread. Call it that.
Yeah, and kind of like what I was saying, like it'd be one thing if they had if they were
upfront about it.
Yeah, or if it was like pre-baked and they flew it in from California from some famous bakery and they were like, "Oh, get this, whatever whatever the bakery is, like get their famous bread here at Whole Foods, flown in fresh daily." Like, yeah, that's cool. No one cares that you're not making that because you're, like you said, you're being upfront about it. But when you're just throwing unlabeled bread into a case at a bakery with ovens and mixers and stuff that people can see you like preparing some of the stuff. Like, I don't remember exactly what you can see from the counter, but
I mean, it depends on the store.
Yeah, but I mean, they can see you like doing some stuff in a bakery, and then you've got, a bread case full of loaves of bread. People are obviously going to assume it comes from there.
Right.
Sketch ass motherfuckers.
I mean, I like the people I worked with. My two managers were both great. And a lot of the higher ups at stores were great. The general manager of my last store kind of sucked ass, but his assistant was great. Yeah, I just, it's disappointing. It's disappointing to see a lot of the changes that have come through, because speaking as someone who didn't even really buy from Whole Foods before, I have no stock in this. I just think it's really shitty what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like both how they're treating employees and how dumb they think their customers are.
Right. Well, and it sucks for it to happen to, I mean, not that I ever like was in love with Whole Foods, but it sucks because, yeah, everyone makes jokes about how expensive they are, because they are extremely expensive. But like, at least you could go and get like fresh baked stuff and, good quality product. Like, yeah, you're going to pay more for it, but they had that good reputation. But I feel like now they're just like blowing all of that, and now they're just going to be expensive.
Now they're just the Amazon grocery store.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Cut corners wherever they can. That's Amazon's reputation. That's becoming Whole Foods' reputation.
Yep. Pretty much. Ugh.
Wow, I complained about that a lot longer than I expected.
It's good. I kind of expected it. I wasn't planning on talking about too much today. Yeah. Oh, I do want to say before we forgot, I did something over the weekend that is very out of character for me, but the reasoning behind it is mostly humorous, so it kind of all makes sense. I signed up to run a 5K in April, which is very out of my character. While I do enjoy going to the gym, I do not like running. So that'll be kind of interesting, but it's the Big House 5K, and I've kind of thought about wanting to do it for like a few years. Just because it's kind of cool. The finish line, you like run inside the football stadium onto the field, and they have like the M Club banner set up for you to like touch as you finish, and they've got like a photographer there like taking photos. So it's mostly just for the photo op, and I figure worst case, like, I just roll out of bed and I run a very slow 3.1 miles. But yeah, right, I don't know. Right. I don't know. We'll see. I want to do it. Maybe I'll actually take it somewhat seriously and try and do decent.
Probably get a little bit of practice in.
What's that?
Probably get a little bit of practice in.
Yeah, I will. I'm not gonna just completely roll out of bed the morning of, but yeah, I probably won't get as much practice in as I should, but we'll give it a good go, and maybe I'll document that over the next couple months as we go.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, boys and girls.
Yep, that's 90.
Yeah, from now on, every new episode of Breakroom Nachos will be AI generated, so we're not going to actually do any work for it anymore. We're just going to serve it to you.
All right. Sweet.
Bye.